Welcome to the Small Talk Podcast. I'm Mike Smallegan. Today we're talking about home selling strategies. We got Joni Stiling, David Gregory, and Bailey Budnik in the house, and I'm Mike Smallegan. So let's start with what can you do to make your house look good? Joni.
Well, I always encourage my sellers to, first of all, curb appeal.
Okay.
So if there's anything they can do with, like, bringing in some mulch or planting some flowers, things like that, decorations on the front porch, that's the first impression other than photos. And so I feel like, curb appeal is huge when getting your house ready.
Curb appeal is definitely great. David, on the outside of the house, what can we do to make our listings stand out?
I think investing a little bit of time into some landscaping.
Sure.
Adding mulch, things that are cheaper that make a huge difference.
What's a bag of mulch these days?
$5.
$3.
$5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can
Easy
fill it. If you get a
choice,
pickup
right?
truck, you could fill it up pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And I'll help you out. I have a pickup truck.
I also think power washing is something that's pretty easy
Man,
to
you've
do.
been doing that a lot lately.
I've done that. I have
Yeah.
done that. But it helps. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's so clear to see where you have and where you haven't, and it's an easy thing to do, and it makes the house look better. So why not?
What about when there's like burnt out light bulbs? Is that like the worst, right? On the outside of the house.
Easy
You
for
Or
feel
like-
smoke detectors that are beeping.
We're still on the outside of the house, Johnny. We'll get in, I promise.
We all want to get inside.
Yes. So what about the front door? Is there what can you do to your front door to make it better?
A nice wreath.
Yeah.
Make sure
Say
it's clean. Make
seasonal
sure the
wreath.
windows are clean.
Cobwebs, is
Cobwebs.
that good? Yeah.
Yep.
Cobwebs
rid
are
of
not
those.
good.
Unless it's Halloween, I think cobwebs would be good for Halloween.
Make sure they're fake cobwebs.
Yeah. I've definitely seen that before, though. Also, what about where you hang your lockbox? Is that important?
Yes. Not in a bush. Actually hanging
Yeah.
it, not just setting it down behind a bench or something.
Yeah, it's
I
nice
first-
when the buyer's agent can find it
Yeah.
Yeah.
out.
And
having to
for
search.
a seller, it's good when it's actually secured to the house versus just sitting, like Johnny said, behind a bench or something.
Yeah.
Put it on a handrail, put it nicely on the front door. If it doesn't hang nicely on the front door, put it on the back door and add a note that says lockbox on the back door.
What about where the buyers come in? Back door could be okay, but is that where we actually want the buyers to come in to the
Yeah, I
house
think
at?
it's important to have it at the front door because that's that first impression. Again, first impressions are huge. People want to come in and see, oh, this is what it's like to come home.
Yeah, you could definitely hang the lockbox in the back door and say the key is for the front door, though,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
and the agent would have to then, go around and let you in.
Yeah.
So once you open that front door, what are some of the things that you guys are seeing that really make our listings pop? Like first impressions, front doors open. What do you see, David?
I mean, I think spending a little bit of money and time, it doesn't have to be expensive, but if you can touch up some paint, even a room, just get it clean. Smell is important.
Yeah, smell is
I don't
huge.
know how many
Smell
times
matters.
I've had a buyer walk into a house and just get past the living room and say, this isn't the one because of the cat or,
Yeah.
Or smoke or,
yeah.
yeah.
But you don't have to spend a lot of money or time. It's just, and if it's something, if you need to hire a cleaner for $100 and get the whole house cleaned, it could be worth it.
Sure. Even if you have to pay a couple hundred, it's still I think that first impression when you open the door
Absolutely.
matters, right?
Absolutely.
Anything you can add to that, Johnny?
I think, for all of our listings, hiring a stager to come in.
Yeah.
And they get to go through room by room and help you make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing for the eye. I've seen before and afters, and it's huge what they do. So I think having a good staging consultant come in and help you make sure that it looks good. There's little things you can do, adding throw pillows or a throw rug or some stools by a bar. There's just little things that you can do that really help people feel more at home there and they can see themselves there. I also encourage people to take down family photos, anything religious, things like that. Just trying to get it to a neutral, to where the potential buyers can see themselves living there. They're not seeing the other family.
Yep. Clean slate.
Clean
Yeah.
slate, absolutely.
So now we're inside, Bailey. What do we got?
I'll go back to my clutter mitigation. I think that's big. I recently had a listing where they were living there, and I get it. There's a bunch of stuff, and it wasn't super organized. So I encourage them. Obviously, they're not going to rent a storage unit while they're also trying to buy a house at the same time. Clean up the clutter, clean off the countertops in the kitchen, make it as clean of a slate as possible for anybody who comes in. So they can say, oh, I like this dresser here. It would look good, That's what I would say.
Yep. I think a dresser is fine. Shelves are fine.
Yeah,
But putting
but
things in closets or in the
There's
basement
like stuff
in boxes,
sitting on top of the, yeah.
absolutely. Just one bowl of fruit. You don't need to have, 15 things on your kitchen counter.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of spices and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people actually think that home staging means someone bringing in their furniture. How has a home stager benefited your listings? Like,
Oh, tremendously. So not only like I've had it where they come in and they just take what the seller already has and rearrange it and do it the best way.
Yeah.
And that's huge. But then to go a step further, especially if you have an empty listing, to have them bring in a throw rug or a couch or, some placemats for the table, a bowl of fruit for the counter, little things like that. I mean, it can potentially give your seller $20,000-$30,000 more
Yeah.
in their offer just by spending, $500 to $1,000 on some staging material.
we've seen it happen.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes you have a unique spot that you could get creative with. So, for instance, I had a listing recently where it had a tiny kitchen. It was kind of remodeled, but there wasn't a place to put the fridge. The fridge had to be kind of in front of the window in the corner. And I had somebody come in and give an opinion of, let's put a table next to it. And it made it look like it was intentional. So maybe, a stager is important for just even opinions on how to make a small space or a kind of a strange space look intentional and livable, like somebody would want to use it that way.
So now we're on to setting the right price of property. Back to data, right? So how important is that when we're listing our homes for our clients to take time and figure out the right price?
I think that's one of the most important things. If you list a home too high and it sits on the market, I mean, I always ask buyers that, like, what do you think? When you see a home sitting on the market for 7-10 days, the offer deadline passes, you automatically, what's wrong with it? I mean, that's automatically where we go. And so I think pricing it correctly is so important. And doing your research, finding other homes that are comparable. What have they been listed at and sold at? Have there been any that have sat on the market? How can you be aggressive with pricing the home so that your seller doesn't leave money on the table?
I agree with looking at data in sold homes, especially, and showing them the sellers, the ones that have been overpriced, where the market doesn't support it, and they sit and they get less than what they want. I think with sellers, it's the same as buyers to a certain extent, of setting expectations, realistic expectations, under promising, saying this is what the data shows it could sell for. Here's where those ones that have sold were listed at. Let's go a little bit lower. It forces competition. It forces more people through your home. The lower the price point, the wider the audience of buyers, the more potential offers, and the more potential money they could get.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you guys doing any type of strategy as far as pricing a property or for multiple offers, offer deadlines? Like, what are you doing in terms of that, Johnny?
So I always encourage my sellers, and again, I'm only encouraging them. Ultimately, it's their choice, but I always encourage them to price it just under market. If we come up with a price range, price it at the low end, because then we are going to get more eyes on it. People who, and when buyers are looking, they're looking in a price range. And if you exceed that price range, they're not even going to see it.
Yep.
But if you're just under and they come in and get in the door and then they're like, oh my gosh, I fell in love. And then that's how we create multiple offers, is more eyes equals more offers equals more money for my sellers. I also think you can't price a home too low. The market is going to determine what it's going to sell for. People are only going to pay what they're comfortable paying to some extent. But I think you can absolutely price it too high.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
I always have sellers say, what's market value? And it's like, market value is what somebody's going to pay for it, right? But the strategy should be to price it slightly below what it should sell for. And like Johnny said, have as many people come through as possible. Because I like that. More eyes equals more offers equals more dollars. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So are
That's
you
nice.
doing offer deadlines?
Yeah. So I always, do staging and photography. Staging is going to be Monday, photography Tuesday, sign install on Wednesday, and then we go live on Thursday. We have an open house over the weekend, and then I do offer deadline on either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Yep. And that seems to work. I don't think I've ever had a listing that didn't get multiple offers on an offer deadline. So
Yep.
seems to be working.
Okay. So we've talked staging, we've talked curb appeal. Now we're talking listing presentation. So like, how are we presenting our listings to the world? So what are some things that you're doing for exposure?
Well, first of all, having professional photography.
Okay.
I think that's huge. You see some of these listings out there with a cell phone picture.
With thumb in it.
Yeah, you're just not putting their house in the best light.
Yeah.
Other than curb appeal, photography is the first impression. With the internet these days, people are going online and seeing the house before they're even asking an agent to show it to them.
Yeah.
So we have to wow them with the pictures, first of all. I also think having, the 360 walkthrough where you can walk through each room and see how the flow of the house is. So you can see, where's the bedrooms compared to the kitchen, things like that, is huge. It gives people an idea of what it feels like to be in the house before they even get there and encourages them to want to come and see it. Again, more eyes. Also doing floor plans. People want to know, like, how, in the picture, it may be wide angled. It may look like a huge bedroom, but it's actually only a 12 by 12. So having the dimensions on there for people so they can see, how that house is compared to others is huge as well.
Yeah. So video is another good way to stand out. Have you done any videos for any of your listings, Bailey?
I do videos for every listing.
That's awesome.
Yep. We've got a great marketing guy. We write a script and we go through the home, not only showing the features of it, but the area, all the benefits, and trying to show it in the best light possible, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some things that you think make our listings stand out, David?
I think our team's good about marketing with the videos and everything. You want to make sure that when a potential buyer walks into the house, it's going to look like it looks in the photos.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I think we're really good about capturing that. We hire great photographers, and just marketing the property in general is something that our team, I feel like, prides ourselves on.
So are we doing anything with social media?
Yeah, social media is huge. We have the Grand Rapids Informed page that's got one of the biggest followings on Facebook, and we can market there. And we are all active on Instagram, Facebook, and marketing our properties through that as well. And there's usually pretty good response. So
Okay.
Yeah, all my listings, I think every listing I've done a video walkthrough. I think that's huge. I think it really helps, again, above and beyond the 360 view, but also just like, here's me walking through the house so you can see how it flows. Talking about its, characteristics, about the parks nearby or things like that, school districts, doing the aerial videos with drone, showing, if there is a creek in the back or an in-ground pool, things like that. And then also being able to put it on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and sharing those and asking your client to share those as well, putting it on YouTube, all of those things. I think the whole thing just makes it pop.
Yeah. I picked up something from Mike. You told me one time that a listing agreement is not an agreement to sell the home. It's a marketing agreement.
Right.
So why would we as agents not try to do the most marketing possible for this home, right? We could just post pictures on the MLS and that's it, and it may sell. But we're going above and beyond with doing these walkthroughs, with hiring professional photographers, with advising on staging. That's what the sellers are agreeing for us to do, and we need to go above and beyond, and I think we do. So.
And I think a lot of agents, what do they say? There's the three Ps. Most of them, post a picture on the MLS, put a sign in the yard, and pray that it sells. But we go one farther, right? We prospect and we market. So, we reverse prospect in our database, and then we also, put it on, I think there's over 140 platforms that we
Way more than that.
we
But
put
yeah.
it on. Yeah, but a ton of platforms, as well as our own personal page and our team's page and all of that.
So let's talk about how we handle like multiple offers. So like, how are you presenting the offers to your clients, and like, what are some of the things that you look for?
So when I get offers on my listings, I do a spreadsheet. And so we put it in the spreadsheet, and that's where we're going to put all the things that matter. So who the agent is, did they reach out to me? Who their lender is, are they local? Have we done business with them?
Why is it important for other agents to reach out to you?
because I want to talk to them. I want to hear, about their clients. I want to hear about their process. I want to hear, do they have a transaction coordinator? What's their success rate? Do they have a lot of deals that fall through? Are they confident? Who are these people? What are they approved for? Have they been through underwriting? I want to talk to their lender, having their lender reach out.
I think calling a buyer calling you as a listing agent shows a lot of confidence in them because they're ready to vouch for their buyers, ready to vouch for themselves and their process. I mean, that's huge.
And it shows they're going to communicate throughout the transaction,
Yes.
which is huge. Somebody who just slips an offer into my email and doesn't ever call, how do I know I'm going to be able to get a hold of you if we need to negotiate something or if there's an issue? Yeah. So putting all of those things in there, is there an appraisal gap? What is the offer? What are they escalating to? What's their down payment? Are they offering any other kind of concessions? Are there any contingencies? And putting all that into a spreadsheet and then going through and I print out all of the offers when I do present.
Okay.
And so I'll show them each of the offers and I put them in order from what my algorithm says is the best to the least.
Yeah.
And I go through and I talk to them about things that are important, Hey, is it worth it for you to leave a little bit of money on the table, but to have an agent who reached out versus one who didn't, or who has a reputable lender, not just a fly-by-night lender?
How does a lender impact the deal, David?
Well, we have lenders that we all kind of know and trust in the industry. I mean, we've been around enough to know the ones with good reputations and not so good reputations. And so at the end of the day, we want to make sure that this deal is going to get to the closing table.
Yeah.
As little complications as possible and that's doing the best for our clients.
Yeah.
So, talking to a lender is always pretty much a necessity before an offer is accepted. Making sure that they've gone through all the pre-qualification, all the
verified assets, verified income, older
Absolutely.
credit.
There's a huge difference between just throwing out a letter that says, hey, I talked to them and they said they make X amount of money and they can pay the mortgage, versus somebody who's provided bank statements, W-2s, work history, all of that, and been through underwriting.
Through pre-underwriting is
Yes.
huge. And I always ask that too. The way I present offers to my sellers is with a little flow. It's price, terms, extras, price again. What are they offering price-wise? What are the terms of the purchase? What are the extras, which would be escalation, appraisal gap, what lender they're using, stuff like that. And then back to price. If you're willing to, like Johnny said, if you're willing to leave some money on the table for a more guaranteed close, that's important to some people. What if they need to buy a house after this?
Yeah.
They need this sale to close. We can't be messing around with some lender, a contingency or some lender that isn't super confident, or if it doesn't matter to them, get the most money.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Also, it matters possession time too. Sometimes I recently had two sellers who were both selling and buying. And so we had to look for a house after we got an offer. So we asked for 60 days. And when we went through those offers, there were some who were only offering 30.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal for my sellers. And so they would prefer to take less money and get the full 60 so they could guarantee that they could find a home.
And as a buyer's agent, you're only finding that out if you call that listing agent and ask
what's important to your seller.
What's important to your clients, right?
Yep.
So that question, I think, not enough people ask, right? And
it's a big question.
It's not always about the money.
I agree.
Yeah.
I always ask what's important other than price. We all know price is important.
Of course they want money, but
Exactly.
What else could you do?
Yep.
Sure. So lastly, what happens after you accept an offer on a listing? Like, what are the next steps?
So next steps are going to be getting in touch with that lender, getting them a purchase agreement, and making sure that the deal goes smooth. We're fortunate that we have a transaction coordinator who helps all those moving pieces, but making sure title work is ordered.
Yeah.
You should be ordering preliminary title work just to make sure that deal goes smooth.
So, Bailey, what problems could potentially happen after we accept an offer?
The first one, timeline-wise, would be that the buyers find something in their home inspection that they want fixed, and we can always negotiate on that.
It's definitely better to work some problems out than just to let a deal fall apart, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if we can all come to some sort of agreement, that's great. But if not, then, hopefully, if we've marketed the property right, we'll have backup offers to go to if the first one we take doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, like you talked about, Bailey, setting expectations. When you meet with your seller, talking to them about, like what updates have you done? How old's your furnace? How old's your roof? What are they gonna find when they come in to do inspections? Maybe even doing a pre-inspection. on the seller's house before you even, so you know what to expect, just to avoid any other problems once you do get under contract.
Anything you can add to that? Like how else can you make the closing process go smooth, David?
I think just communication is huge on all parties, from all points of view, lender, listing agent, buyer's agent, all in communication. It's important to work with parties that are responsive and that you can come to terms with, and understand that, you know, we want both sides to win at the end of the day. And if there's a mutual understanding with that, I try to lay that foundation down from the beginning, from both sides, and usually it ends up working well.
I think a lot of it comes down to expectations, communication, and having a good agent who is going to be able to set all that up for you. You know, you don't have to worry. Like, that's one of the things that I love hearing from my clients is like, I didn't have to worry about anything. Like, you and your team just handled everything. And that's the way it should be. You know, just give me the green light and I'm going to make it all happen. Like, you don't have to do anything. It shouldn't be stressful.
What I'm hearing is who you work with matters, right?
100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you today for listening to the Home Selling Strategies with the Smallegan Real Estate team. If you have any questions about selling your home or the process of selling your home, please reach out to us. And thanks again. And until next time, have a great day. Thank you for watching this episode of the Small Talk Podcast with the Smallegan Real Estate team. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our earlier episodes.